a young lad from the streets of Mumbai. Rooted in spirituality from a tender age, drawn towards the study of moral science, pulled by Swami through his Balvikas, hooked onto Bhagwan's path as Sai played out his Leelas. From friends aplenty to that one friend within, his journey master planned by his own divine master. With blessings and bounty and adventures with the Lord himself, energized by grace and divine intervention. All living beings are actors on this stage, says Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba, the divine prompter standing behind that screen of Maya. This young actor, aware of his presence behind the veil, prepared to take on any role as divinely ordained. When faced with exams, he studied, and Swami remembered. When he did not, Swami inspired. As divine words poured onto the sheets of his exam, his destiny was written by the wave of his master's hand.
हम हमारे लिए जी नहीं सकते। हमारी जितनी बाकी सांसें हैं, जितनी हमारे क्षण है, उस हर एक क्षण में, हर एक सांस में हमें भगवान का वो जो प्यार है वो हमें समाज तक बांटना है। ये हमारी जिम्मेदारी है। इसके बगैर हम मर नहीं सकते, इसके बगैर हम जी नहीं सकते। ये आज की सत्य की परीक्षा है, ये आज की भांति।
Despite years of actual words being absent, their bond kept growing. Divine director and his dedicated actor, a tale of timeless friendship. Sri Nimish Pandya, his divine master's piece, his masterpiece. Guided by his conscience, the unity in thought, word and deed. Memories of the past, his treasure trove. In the divine master's love, he found his purpose, to see Sai written and see Sai in all. With confidence in the self, he walks on the path ordained by the Lord, unwavering, resolute, intuitive and exuberant. The masterpiece magnificent he performs. Directions from the director taint the skies of his journey, living memories carrying him through the life's mystery.
Om Shri Sairam, offering my humble salutations at the divine lotus feet of my mother Sai. I am Praniti Durgapal from the state of Maharashtra West 1, a current student of the Sri Sathya Sai National Leadership Program for Self-Transformation. On this wonderful evening, I welcome you all to the 9th episode of Satsangatve Nisangatvam. It is indeed my honor to welcome the speaker for today, Sri Nimish Pandya. Sri Nimish Pandya is the Vice Chairman of the Sri Sathya Sai Global Council, the All India President of the Sri Sathya Sai Seva organizations, and Chairman Academic Board of the Sri Sathya Sai National Leadership Program for Self-Transformation. He was born into a family of attorneys and is a practicing advocate of the High Court of Bombay, as well as public notary. He heads the law firm of Pandya & Co. and is also the chairman of Pandya & Juris LLP. Sri Nimish Pandya's first meeting with Bhagwan happened in the year 1977, with the Sri Sathya Sai Balvikas playing a central role in bringing his family into Bhagwan's fold. He has since taken up various projects and served in various roles in the Sri Sathya Sai Seva organizations. He has also been associated with the Education in Human Values program since its inception. Sri Nimish Pandya has had the great fortune of directing several plays with children and youth enacted in the divine presence. Cherished memories of Swami's divine proximity are Sai Krishna's Leelas and his eternal friendship are prized possessions that guide him along. Memories carry me go. Brothers and sisters, on the eve of Sri Krishna Janmashtami, let's welcome our blessed speaker to take us through his divine directories. Jai Sairam.
John? Om Shri Sairam. It's a very pleasant surprise to see the video. I was told that I'm going to be a surprise announcement, but I think I'm myself very surprised to look at that beautiful video which was played beforehand. I'm grateful to all my young friends who put that together. And indeed, it was a journey down memory lane, which happened so beautifully. And every moment of it is a great cherished memory for me. To start off immediately, I believe that every human being who is born on the face of this earth is a continuation. It is not a sudden beginning or a sudden end between the time of birth and death. We have been there with the Almighty for several eons of time. And probably it's the fruition of all the good deeds that one does through various kinds of births that one gets the opportunity to be born as a human being. It's very strange that when you are born, the awareness is at the lowest. In fact, not there at all of who you really are. And the journey begins from there, because the moment you're born, or prior thereto, while you're in the womb of your mother, the experiences that go through what your mother thinks, what your mother sees, are all cherished by the baby inside the womb. And no sooner the baby is born, the entire experience is governed by the five senses. You open your eyes and see something, you touch something, you feel something, you taste something, and is born out of these experiences the human mind. And that's where the test begins, and the tryst with divinity begins at that moment. The divine, the foundation within, and the five senses outside. This tryst, this interaction, this challenge, this adventure begins immediately. The power of the mind driven by the five senses and the presence of the Lord within. At that age, probably you don't know that the Lord resides within you, but there's a sense of awareness, the sense of life, the sense of knowing that you are there, that you are happening, is a very important dimension, as I understand way back. And the journey with divinity begins with the first breath. It doesn't start somewhere down the line when you meet A or B or C divinity or the forms of divinity. It begins with your very first breath. The Lord is with you all the time. The power of divinity is with you all the time. But the question is, who overtakes, the mind or the consciousness? And here the training comes. The training by your parents, the environment that you live in, the thoughts that you nourish, the actions that you perform, which turn into habit. And all this is being monitored by the divine. He is letting you free in the field of action, watching you. The question comes, is this determined by him? Is this planned by him? As I understand, this role which you've been given in the space between birth and death is all determined based upon the several karmas that you are, what's going to happen, where you're going to lead, how much you'll suffer, how much you'll be happy, is all determined by the master. The master is watching you perform the role that he has given you. He has trained you for it. But all along, he wants to remember that while you are performing this role, there are two things that can happen. You can forget the director who's given you this role and keep on going without following the script which is given to you. That's where the mind takes you haywire. Or the director is so much in love with you, which he always is, that he takes upon himself the mantle to ensure that you perform as per the script which is given to you. Brothers and sisters, this is my story as I recollect when I go back in point of time. Born to very humble parents, living in a very humble circumstance. I remember I was born at a time when my parents were in a small chawl in the city of Mumbai. I was the eldest son, born after 8 years. And I was told by my mother that I was born out of the grace of Shirdi Sai Baba. And in fact, when they took me to Shirdi for the first time, I was told by my mother that I managed to climb the Samadhi and go and sit in the lap of Shirdi Sai Baba statue. And I was thoroughly reprimanded for that. And my parents were reprimanded by the pujaris that time, that how come they don't control this kid? But where is the question of controlling? When the master calls, nobody can stop you. And that's what happened to me also. But I think that was the curtain raiser. And after that, the journey of life was totally controlled by the senses, obviously. Yes, there was a spiritual input from my parents, prayers, festivals, but the mind was very overpowering. I was very, very excited about being born, excited about the experiences that I was going through, friendships that I had, the desires that I had. And though I was quite focused in school, and my leadership seeds were sown in the school by the scout movement. I was a very accomplished scout. I had nearly got the presidential gold medal. But there was a fraud in that. I was a sea scout, but I never knew swimming. So though I knew everything about the sea and everything about sailing and everything about scouting, but I just didn't know how to swim. And that was probably the first lesson that I should have learned, that knowledge without practice is not possible. It cannot make you a great person. But well, it did sow some seeds of leadership in that sense. At least the outward leadership qualities were developed, but the innate strength was not there. And destiny creates a situation, because it was told in the Janmakshar of mine that I was not to go near the water, that I would suffer death if I went close to the water. And therefore, my parents never allowed me to enter the water. But my desire to be very close to the sea was very strong. I used to make naval ships, models. I used to love the uniform of the Navy, but never could enter the water to learn swimming. But that's not what life is about. If you don't know how to swim, you cannot be a leader yourself. So life went on. I finished my schooling. I came to the college. And by the time I reached college, the world outside had enamored me tremendously. I had great desire to become a film star. And as often happens, the so-called age gap, the so-called differences between my father and myself. My mother was the greatest support, but my father was a very nice man who had great plans for my future, who knew, in fact, now in hindsight, when I remember him, I remember everything that he told me, and I wish that I had listened to him. But he wanted me to become a lawyer and I didn't want. I was very fond of friends. In fact, life became dependent on friends. You see, on the one hand, the dichotomy, I had all the leadership qualities. Externally, I had no internal experience. And thirdly, I was dependent. I was very, very much dependent for my happiness and sorrow on all my friends. I had many, many friends. I had probably more than 100 best friends, as they call it. And people used to say that if I met one friend in a day, I wouldn't meet him again before 6 months. And they were all very, very talented people. Some of them were the stars of those years who are no more now. But we were a good group. But this attachment to friends, this yearning to become an actor, to enjoy life, to enjoy all the senses, was so strong that it emboldened me to be blatant and fast as my parents are concerned. And I was quite aggressive in my relationship with my father. Only on the ground, I used to love him, but only in the ground that he wanted me to be a lawyer and I didn't want to. And this is where, to this extent, the divine who was a witness was watching me. The script was written for me. I was not aware of it. I was already on the wrong path. I had to be brought back. Now, in the world, brothers and sisters, we must always remember one thing, that meeting a divine soul is a grace that the Almighty bestows upon you, and you should never miss that. You know, there are so many drops of water in the ocean, but in the shell, when one drop goes, in the shell, that drop becomes a pearl. All the drops can go away by way of bubbles and merge back into the sea. That's what's happening to you and me today. Human beings today are in the ocean, living, tossing themselves in the ocean of samsara, desire they're going through. But it is you and me who have been graceful, that we were picked by a divine force and brought back to the beginning of a new path. I remember when I met Swami, I thought I've achieved everything. No, it's not that. When the divinity catches you and brings you on the right path, it is the beginning of a journey. It is the beginning of a new journey. It is not the end. In fact, the real test starts then. So in the year 1977, I didn't want to go to Puttaparthi at all because there was no inclination. There was no inclination for any kind of divinity at that point of time. Parties, friends, enjoyment, adventure, climbing mountains was life. I mean, we wanted to live life fully, that's it. But there were nascent factors in the personality which needed to be corrected. And it must be the prayers of my parents or my past deeds. And that's the story of all of us. That Lord chose to enter and manifest himself. He was always there. I'm sure he was correcting me from within, but there was no skill set to listen to him. So he had to catch you by your ears and bring you. So in comes the Sri Satsai Balvikas, my youngest brother, becoming a Balvikas child, coming home. My wife Kamala was her Balvikas teacher. And best part is I didn't even pay attention to her, though she was my youngest brother's Balvikas, because we were in another world. This boy, Swami, enters my family through Dharmesh, my youngest brother, who was a Balvikas too. So the first blossoming of the flower after Dharmesh was my mother. And because I loved my mother, I had to support her, therefore I had to take her. We were all very surprised because she used to run away to Puttaparthi every second day. Suddenly you realize she's taken a train to Mumbai, and after 2 days again she's taken a train back to Puttaparthi. And all of us were really, really surprised. I had another brother, Mayur, who was elder to Dharmesh and younger to me. There were only 3 brothers, we don't have sisters. So Mayur was a firebrand. He was a model on the ramp of Mumbai University. So there was no question of his being anywhere close to divinity, so to say. So there was this now great classic divide in the family. Mother and youngest brother talking of spirituality, middle brother, myself talking of the world, my father in between, very logical man. In this rigmarole of the family, Swami started slowly entering, catching one by one everyone. First Dharmesh and my mother. And then incidentally me, I went to Vrindavan only to support my mother. And those were the days when the Kashmakash was going on, the war between my father and myself to study law or not to study law. But since I loved him, I did unwillingly appear for my exams and used to do my ATKT, allowed to keep turns, 3 subjects a year, another subject, another 6 months. So like dilly-dallying, very busy on the stage doing a dramas and all that. So when that happened, I was caught. But the first transformation process. When I met Swami for the first time, I had the book of the Constitution of India in my hand. And I had no intentions of falling in love with Bhagwan. But as he glided towards me in the sands of the Vrindavan below the tree, Krishna tree, I remember it was Krishna Janmashtami now, and it was Krishna who walked in front of me and his robe touched me. And as his robe touched me, brothers and sisters, what happened to me, I have no idea. Even I talk now, as I talk to you, my hair stands on my hand. I went into a field where I think every cell of my body was transformed. I could think clearly. I could see clearly. Then I realized that God had stirred that divine spark in me, which must have been there. It was only to be lit again. And that experience churned out so much energy and confidence that overnight I could say no to my friends. Overnight I could say no to all the things and habits that I had. And the process of churning started and overnight change started. But still with this, there was no intention of becoming a lawyer. And therefore, I was at that stage where I was very close to my friends. I didn't want to leave them. And here was God who was taking me away from all that. That dependence factor that every soul must not have to the world. That dependence factor, that attachment that every soul must not have to the world is the correction, is the lesson that the master comes down and told me that, look, give up all the friends. There are no friends in this world. They are all acquaintances who are dependent upon give and take. There is no unconditionality about it. The unconditionality is only with the master. And that master is me, and he pointed to himself. And then he said one more thing, that look, I have planned every part of your life, every moment, and I don't want you to interfere with my plan. Pausing here, brothers and sisters, this is not something special to me as I look at the hindsight. This is the story of each one of us. All our lives are planned, but there is one thing, the determination and the commitment to recognize the divinity within you. To recognize that he is the master. He is the only friend. Now see the situation. Here is a human being. For me, life without friends was unthinkable. So he narrows down the wider circle of friends to a single point of friendship with Bhagwan. Now you don't learn that way just by saying, I thought that this body of God is my friend. Therefore, I was very happy with it. Who would not want to hear from a master that don't do anything? I have planned everything for you. You live your life. I said, okay, one more. Let's enjoy. But it wasn't that way. It was a journey of transformation. A journey of correcting yourself. And I remember that he continuously ensured that I stayed away from all the friends. And to convince me that he was a master and he was a friend, he performed these miracles of me becoming a lawyer. There was no way, friends, I could have become a lawyer by studying. People study for 3 years and 5 years and do their law and they become a lawyer, but I didn't do it. I must admit today that those student days as a law student were useless. It's only that during those law student days, there was also the simultaneously love that generated for Bhagwan's physical form as a friend. And then what he said used to happen, so I used to be enamored. When he said to my father, don't worry, he'll become a lawyer. And I did. I didn't know law, but immediately he said, don't worry, I'm sending you work also. And I got kind of work which even lawyers of 10 years and 15 years of experience would not get, and I was there. And remember my situation. I don't know the law. I have a major case in front of me, and I have to start studying the law as if I'm doing it for the first time. But it happened because I realized the miracle that he was helping me all the time. So what was it? Was I a special person? No. This is the master telling the student that, look, I am the master. Follow me and I will do it for you. That promise was there. That I am your friend and I have done everything for you, don't worry. The question is, I had to develop that faith and believe him. I had to develop that faith and align myself to him. And then, you see, he's a great teacher. He teaches you, once you surrender to him, he changes. You know, what was the first thing to be changed in my personality? Was his attachment to the world outside. By default, human beings love to get attached to some other human being, either to friends or to situations or to people. We depend on people. We get lost when something happens and we want another person. The world, you depend on human beings. Here was a storyteller, here was a master who was telling you and teaching you how to depend upon the master. Let me give you two instances of how he weaned me away to give me my self-confidence. You see, I used to get very attached to people. Even if it was cricketers, no? I used to have logbooks of cricket stars and really feel as if I'm one with them. Or maybe film stars and actors. I used to feel as if I'm a part of them. And even in day-to-day life, I used to depend upon my friends. If I don't meet a friend one day, I would be nervous. I mean, I would want to call him. And if some friend didn't respond to me, I was sensitive. I would feel bad. I would like to make up to him. This kind of a external attachment which was rampant, which is there with all of us. And when Swami said only one friend, no friends, and overnight that thing changed. So then I started depending upon Swami's physical form. And then came a very great master, my great mentor, Sri Indulal Shah. Because by default, I had to be attached to somebody. So I became attached to Indulal Shah. I started doing everything that he would do because I thought he was a great soul attached to Baba. So let me attach to him. And imagine the buddhi. My buddhi should have told me attach to the master himself via media. But in hindsight, I know he was the instrument created by Bhagwan to lead me to Bhagwan. And how did he do this? You see, Bhagwan starts shattering your ego. Brothers and sisters, ego is a big problem. And it is very difficult to handle this. By this time, I entered the Sai organization and I became very popular. I became in charge of many, many activities by my sheer enthusiasm to do work. But that enthusiasm can bring in a sense of egoship, a sense of doership. And one day there was an inauguration of a building in Dharmakshetra. And by that time, I was very well connected with Bal Vikas, doing dramas and all that. And in the midst of 4,000 people, at the function which was going on, Swami shouted from top, "Hey, selfish, stop it." And imagine to be fired by the master whom you think is your best friend in front of everyone and be called stupid and selfish. My whole being got shook. And I was completely devastated. But even in that moment, he still is with you. And he holds you and he takes you further. You see, the situation was when he shouted at me, Indulal Shah was standing behind him. And I was dealing with children. So I had the sense of discrimination when Swami shouted and asked me to stop the program. I thought I will let the children finish that particular sequence they were doing, and once they go out of that sequence, I will stop it. This situation took 60, 35 to 40, 50 seconds. In these 50 seconds, Indubai was waving from behind Swami's chair to me, stop, stop, stop. Now see how the Lord interprets and takes the situation to teach you what he wants to teach you. On the one hand, I have used the discrimination to let the children go, so I didn't want to hurt them. Second hand, in the same 50 seconds, Indubai is pointing from behind, stop, stop. Swami has shouted and watching me what I'm doing. Anyway, after 50 seconds, I stopped the program. Swami left. Immediately, the next function was the first All India EHV teachers, Education and Human Values teachers at Dharmakshetra. And obviously, working with Indubai, I was taking the lead. Kamla, myself, we were all in lead at that point of time. So we were supposed to be there immediately after the children's function. But look at my mindset. I was completely devastated. I said, I can't be worthy of human values. And therefore, I should not go for that meeting because I don't deserve to be there. This is the second thing that he taught me. Never underestimate yourself. You are what you are, and you are because he wants to be there. So what happened? But in that moment of weakness, I didn't go up. I packed the children and let them go away. There were 3,000 children. I had to see that they go out. And what do I hear? As the meeting begins on top in Dharmakshetra, the first statement that Swami comes and makes to the group of very illumined teachers who are going to be the EHV teachers of India at that point of time, and I'm talking this around 1980 sometime. Swami said, he came inside. You see, my brother was already joined the college by that time, and his story was different. He was totally agnostic, but somehow that he got transformed and went to Puttaparthi and joined Swami's college. But Swami was very fond of Mayur, was his name. He came in his room and said, see, Mayur's brother, when I told him to stop, he did not stop. But when Indulal Shah told him to stop, he stopped immediately. And then he said, look, Bombay, Indulal Shah is master. Therefore, follow the master. Good job, good thing. Now imagine, interpret this, okay, brothers? This is the lesson begins. This is the exam. I come to know of this in the afternoon that Swami has spoken like this on top. First of all, I was very upset because he never used to use my name. He used to call me Mayur's brother, Mayur's brother. So there also ego, again, problem. So that ego sense, that hurt of being shouted at, the interpretation that I did not listen to him and I was listening to Indulal Shah, all these things put together in my mind was a transformational, impactful event in my life. In the evening when Swami came down, I caught his feet and I said, Swami, Indulal Shah, not master. You are my master. The sense of great love and that surges within yourself. And I told him, you are my master. He said, no, Bombay, Indulal Shah, master. Now see how a teacher makes you repeat something which you don't want to forget. So like 6, 7 times I'm telling him, Swami, you are my master, not Indulal Shah. No, Indulal Shah, master. After 6, 7 times, I caught it. I said, no, Swami, you are my master. And what I had done was I was on duty on the stage before he comes out to the crowd to open the curtain. I refused to open the curtain. And that time, he finally smiled at me and said, okay, I understand. And brothers and sisters, I learned my lesson that day. Never ever depend upon anybody else. If there is one master, he is the Lord God himself. And this understanding that Swami was my master, which was restricted to the physical form, also had to be learned further. Had to be migrated from that physical form to his power within yourself. So all the golden days, the beautiful days when he performed my marriage, beautiful things did. He did some amazing things for me in terms of letting me know that he's with me all the time. Whether it was my affection for my wife. He would know everything about it. He would know everything that I spoke to my wife, I did to my wife. Even if Kamala and I went to a theater to see Jesus Christ, a movie in Mumbai, I was immediately told when I went to Puttaparthi, kya karta hai? You're going to the theater watching, and I'm watching Jesus Christ. But that also was not permitted. Because after my marriage, he had a lot of things to train me, more than my wife to train me. Because the mind, which was powerful, had to be focused to the situation. Because by the time I was like, many of the people have this great idea. We don't want to marry. We'll sacrifice our lives for Swami. We won't do anything. Swami is my God. Baba, it doesn't work that way. The script which is given to you had to be fulfilled. So the destiny had that I should get married, and I did it. But it was a great exercise. It's not easy, brothers and sisters, to build a relationship between two people. And therefore he guided us that remember, when two people come together, marriage has to be a union of souls. I remember in the marriage, in the interview room, when he was performing marriage, on the aarti, there were two camphor pieces on the thali which lit separately. So Swami, like a carom board, hit one lit camphor, it went and merged with the other one and said, there, shadi se pehle do, abhi ek. So like that. I mean, many, many miracles that way. But you say, first understand and then adjust. That is the best way of relationship between two people. And brothers and sisters, that's what's guided Kamala and me also. That there was always an attempt to understand before adjusting. It was not easy. Kamala, I can very proudly say, is a much more brighter student than I am. She is more intellectually and psychologically evolved than probably I am. I am more situational. I am more sporadic. I am more spontaneous. But she is intelligent. Therefore, such two people coming together require the grace of God. And therefore, he had put the parameters around us. Understand and adjust. And the two of you are to work together for Swami. He had planned us for that. The master plan was there. Even when she and I went to our honeymoon to Goa, when we came back, we were reprimanded that, look, the two of you are going to be seen in the world as representing Swami, and therefore your demeanor, your clothes, your behavior, all have to be in consonance with what is expected out of good leaders. Therefore, good leadership also depends. You can't have a beard and all that. He says, dress properly, behave properly, look nice. See that your entire physical demeanor also is resplendent of the lion that you are and the leader that you are. And God knows everything, brothers and sisters. There's nothing hidden from him. He can reach your bedroom. He can reach your most innermost thoughts. He had embarrassed me tremendously. I had the privilege of his coming to my home in Mumbai in a physical form. And the way the omnipresence he showed me, as if he was living in the house and I was an outsider, was an amazing experience for me. My trip to Goa and the video film that he showed of that entire Goa trip to my parents was not only embarrassing, but amazingly enriching in terms of experience of omnipresence that is. And thereafter, as we go further, and you as leadership students, I would like to tell you that the more you start depending upon yourself with the commitment of God backing you up, it's an amazing story. See, simple thing like prayer. He taught me how to pray and the importance of prayer. There was an incident of this boy who was crying in Cyclone Hall, and I was in charge of the drama, and the boy crying in Cyclone Hall was a very embarrassing situation. I didn't want that to happen. I was trying to keep him quiet. He wouldn't listen. Somehow or the other, I convinced him, close your eyes and pray to Swami, because he wanted vibhuti from Swami's hand. Swami, the aarti was over and Swami had gone. There was no way on the earth that Swami would come back again. Impossible, by logical sense. But this boy listened to me. He closed his eyes and started praying. I'm sure he genuinely prayed to Swami that he wanted vibhuti from his hand. Lo and behold, in 5 minutes, Swami walked out, came straight to me. And look at the ego. I had forgotten about the kid. I thought he's coming to me. He was not coming to me. He came to me and asked me to touch that boy and wake him up. And Swami asked him, what do you want? And he told Swami exactly the same thing that he told me. Swami, I want vibhuti from your hand. Swami gave vibhuti to him and then looked at me and asked, see, Dumbo, he knows that prayer works. You don't know that prayer. Brothers and sisters, that boy today is a scientist. He works in NASA. But he's my guru who told me how to believe in Swami, that Swami listens to prayers. Now imagine if you are in control of your mind, you're not dependent upon anybody in the world. You're a master within yourself because you're in touch with your only friend. And you have the power of prayer, which God listens to. Imagine what a personality you are. And that's what God wants us to be. I understand that even the greatest of thoughts, even on this journey as you progress, if you fall, again he picks you up. Again he reminds you all the time. You know, it's like the director, when you're acting on the stage and you forget your dialogue, he'll prompt you from the prompting box. Okay, this is the line, say it. That's the relationship you need to build with the master within yourself. He'll prompt you. One such incident happened in my life when Swami's Yajur Mandir was being inaugurated and everybody was invited in the portico and my name was missed up. You know, by that time I was already with Swami for 20, 25 years. I was supposed to have matured as a devotee, understood Swami, everything, but nothing worked. When that happened, I collapsed like nobody's end. Started crying, whining, everything. Swami, you don't love me. I'm not deserving. You know, that self-pity, anger, jealousy, all this can come at any stage. But you have to be conscious to be. At that point of time, you have to hold on. You know how I held on? I suffered. I cried. I ran to my room in Puttaparthi. All kinds of things happened. But how Swami saves you? Swami asked one of my colleagues to tell me. I mean, Swami didn't ask, but that one colleague came and told me, Nimish, I know you've not gone for the main meal, but at least the Sevadal are eating now. Why don't you go and have prasad? Now, at that point of time, brothers and sisters, I could have done two things. I would have continued my ego and said, nothing doing, I'm not going, hell with it. That's Swami. But something inside, my sadhana, my prayers, gave me that good sense. At least go and have the prasad. I went there. I started eating prasad. There also people didn't leave me. You know, they rub you in. They rub salt in the wound. They say, sir, why are you in the second lot? You should have been in the first lot. You know, I'm crying like a baby. But I'm eating my prasad. And what happened at the end of it, brother and sister? At the end of it, that evening in the darshan, when I was sitting on the portico, Swami came out of his car. Those days he was limping. He was still not on the wheelchair. He came out and from a long distance he shouted, hey Nimish, why didn't you come for lunch? I was looking for you. You know, brothers and sisters, at that moment, my tears had another connotation. My tears had the connotation of realizing, my God, in the midst of so many hundreds of people, Swami's love was so much that he missed me. He saw me that I was not there. I didn't need to eat that food. This remembrance of the Master was strength for me, was a rejuvenation for me, was a rebirth for me. And I remembered the story of Abu Ben Adam. And he said, it is not good. It is good to keep God in your list, but it's far more better to know that you are in God's list. And that feeling is not a matter of achievement. It's not a matter of ego. It's His grace, His love. Because He's written your script. He wants you to act according to His script. And that's the day I realized that probably before He gave me this experience, my crying, my devotion must have been a superb acting that I did of crying and ranting and all that, you know, like a negative role in a movie. I must have done it very well. That Swami was so happy that he had to come and tell me in his own way. Well, you did a great job. The other thing is, brothers, that when you trust God, your 5 Ds, devotion, discipline, determination, discrimination, are absolutely the pathway to go forward. We need these 5 paths to go forward. And in all these 5 horses that run, if you make God your Sathi, Win, no problem. And once you make a commitment to Swami, fulfill it. Then there is never to look back. You see, it's like a fact where you say you are standing on the cliff and God tells you you're about to fall and there is fear on your face that what will happen next. At that moment also, what you need to cultivate is a faith in the master, that the master can do two things. Moment you're on the cliff to fall, he can give you wings to fly in the air so you won't get hurt. Okay? Or he will come and hold you in his hand. Two things can happen. And that always happens. That always happens. Prayer. Every leader, every young man and woman. I was not a great sadhaka. I'm not a great spiritualist in terms of knowledge about the Gita and the Upanishads and all that. I know one thing, that the simple messages of Bhagavan Sri Sat Sai Baba I put into practice are fantastic. I realized that love in your heart and the feeling that you want to be good to people, irrespective of their conduct, is a great source of strength. Because you know that the other man is God. He may appear to be a demon, but he will behave differently with you. He will behave totally differently. You know, as I told you in the beginning that we were living in a slum. We were not living in a very good situation. But my father had a client who was a builder in Mumbai, but he was the meanest man ever in the world. Even sons didn't trust him. One day when he came to our chawl and we were staying there, he asked my mother, when will you change your house? I'm coming here in this filth every day. And my mother just prayed to him. I said, look, sir, we don't have money, but you are such a big man. You should be doing something. And he promised my mother that I will do something. You can imagine, brothers and sisters, we were living in a slum, and there is a very posh area in Mumbai called Kolava. In 2.5 years' time, Swami motivated this meanest man to come to my mother, put her in the car, take her to the building which was newly constructed, the possessed area, and told her, pick whatever flat you want, and it's yours, and don't worry, your husband will pay me whenever he can. This transformed me from a slum to an area where I could become, study well, live decently. This is what God does for the whole family. A prayer to him. My mother's prayers were always answered. Even during her interaction with Swami all along, Swami was very appreciative of her dedication. Like so many other mothers and so many other sisters who've been with Swami. Here was a thing where my mother could command anything from Swami. And prayers, you may wonder, no, brothers and sisters, that you often wonder whether if I pray, has Swami listen to me or not? If I pray, will it happen or not? I am telling you that God knows your prayer even before you make a prayer. You don't have to make a prayer. It's only a symbolic thing. God knows what you're going to pray for. And if it's good for you, he keeps the answer ready much before you pray. When my brother Mayur was on duty in the room there, one day, Swami in the afternoon told him, Mayur, go and bring some sari. So there was no festival, nothing, and Mayur brought the sari and was wondering, there today, who's going to get this sari? Anyway, he left the sari there, and after some time, another boy came with a bunch of letters. They were all on the table. And as the letters are there on the table, Swami, like how you like a master cardsman, who flicks cards up and down, and he just flicked all the envelopes up and down and flicked one envelope. That envelope flicked and went straight into my brother's hand. He said, open. So my brother opened. It was my mother's letter to Swami, seeking blessings on her 60th birthday. So Swami looked at Mayur and said, see, the prayer came now, but I arranged the sari before the prayer came. I know everything about him. Such is the master, brothers and sisters. Such is the divine master. And therefore, this power called Bhagavan Sri Sat Sai Baba is not the physical form. The physical form came to tell you and me that you and I are self-confident lions. And he's within us, he's not outside. How will you know everything? It's simple, brothers and sisters. There is no great science in this. He says, you and I are one, I know everything. You're not different from me. So how can you get surprised that I know everything? I know everything. I am the doer. Only thing, I am the witness. I'm watching you whether you are going to tell me or you're going to do it yourself. If you depend upon me and let me do your work, I will do your work better than what you can do. And today in this leadership course that all of you are attending, what is the leadership? This is a self-transformation. This is only the transformation which is happening within yourself. Be under no illusion that you're going to become great executives or you may out of your own effort. But this leadership course is to know that you will excel by allowing Swami to work through you. And let Swami do what he wants to do with you. Difficult to understand. It's a matter of experience. I can't explain this. But you have to live it. You have to go through it. To trust him that he's within you is the purpose of life. This differentiation. Now, in the leadership course, you've been speaking, so many people are speaking their examples and their experiences. What is all this? All this is listed at two things fundamentally to my mind. Control here and open this. As Swami's very famous quotation, shut your mouth and open your hearts. Or the one which I love the best is, stay by me and keep your mouth shut and I will do the rest. Now, some of you may ask me, what is the role here that you have to perform? No, you do what you have to do. Ask your heart. The 3HV is important. The mind will think. Mind will think and the hands would want to act. The tongue would want to speak. The ears would want to hear. But when all these inputs come, pause. Ask yourself, is this something which is going to make me a better person? Is this something which will help the other person? Or is this something which is going to hurt the other person? If it is something which doesn't make me a better person, and is this something which hurts another person, try and not to do it. Difficult. Sometimes your mind overtakes you so much. But to pause and ponder over this, a constant practice to do this is very, very important. And you find that life changes. You see, if you take my case, not being a good student, very distracted, full of anger, ego at its peak. Out of all these factors, the grace of God can change this personality. That I became a good lawyer despite not having studied law. Because common sense and intuition gave me more insights in law than books would have given me. It is not only intellect, it is intuition also, which is more powerful than intellect. If you have intuition, your intellect gets direction. But if you don't have intuition, your intellect can take you to the wrong direction. But intuition is very important. This ability to see good, the ability to think positive, the ability to ensure that I want to think good irrespective of anything else happens. My positivity is my strength. My happiness is my asset. Is very, very important. And every time you fall flat, but if you pray, God will keep you back on even keel. He's a great balancer. He can keep you in great order. It's very, very important that perspective. He trains you. See, even between, as I told you about Kamala and myself, she was a far better intelligent person, and she is even now, that this match between me and her was a kind of great learning experience, I'm sure, for both of us. And he used to, a lovely story I must tell you before I come to a close to the question answer session, that she did her law after marriage. And Swami took great personal interest in her studies as a lawyer. And every year, there was a 3-year course, every year he used to take so much interest that he used to come and ask me, how is she doing? Is it over? Is the exam good? Should go and talk to her. Everything would do. And When the third year came and she was about to finish, and she had finished, and she got a gold medal in jurisprudence in Bombay University. So we're all very excited to go and tell Swami. So Swami came. Those days were in the sand. I was sitting in the sand. Swami came out in the sands and asked me, "Kya hua? Wife ka result aa gaya? Has your wife result come?" And I was excited. I told Swami, yes, thinking that Swami is going to bless me. Vibhuti will come. Maybe we'll call for an interview or something. The moment I said, yeah, the whole thing, अच्छा पास हो गया, very good. अभी दोनों मिलके घर में रोज झगड़ा करो. Two lawyers. What was that? If you analyze, it was his happiness that she had done her best. It was her happiness that maybe I could be egoistic and that could create trouble. But it was a warning to both of us. The master telling us that, look, work together. I remember one more incident when he was trying to excite me and incite me. Those was the days when Swami was allowing Kamla to do a lot of good work in Bal Vikas and education. Those were the days when a very national level education committee was formed and all these ladies were being taken to Ooty. So her name was obviously there. Swami had selected her. And then, the mischievous Narayana Krishna, he comes and tells me very clearly, देखा, jealousy है ना, मैं wife को लेके जाता हूँ, तुमको नहीं लेके जाता हूँ. See, I am taking your wife, I'm not going to take you. You're feeling jealous, no? You see, how he trains you with all these systems is an amazing thing. Maybe we were lucky to have those interactions, but brothers and sisters, I want to tell you, today he's more with you than he was then, because that's how I feel also. And you should constantly endeavor to experience him in your day-to-day life. Take this NLP program as a commitment. Your initial video of people saying, oh, my video is not working, I'm not sleeping, I'm not doing this, I was there, Don't do this. This opportunity to learn the diktats of the Divine Master is an opportunity of many, many births, not even this birth. And the sooner you learn and imbibe it in your life, you'll be far off better as a human being. And in true sense, a leader of Swami is not a person who leads others with authority. A leader of Swami is he who inspires people with love. And let me explain this to you. Kamla and myself, with the grace of Bhagwan and his great divine blessings, we could spend quite a few years in Bal Vikas together. The joy when you go around and you meet Bal Vikas children who are now grown up, they coming and meeting you. When devotees come and think that you are a great man when you know you are not, and they treat you like that, is a matter of inspiration that God inspires people through you. You must yearn to become a leader whom God uses as a box where through you people can only see God. And to sustain that is a great achievement, brothers and sisters. When people feel divine in your presence, when people feel happy in your presence, when people remember what has happened. Today, as the All India President, when I travel to different parts of the country, I get some amazing experiences. Which have nothing to do with me, which can give me an ego, which can make me believe that I'm a great person. But it's the sadhana every time to know that this is not true. This is Swami's grace. When Kamala and I went to Darjeeling a few years ago, on the mall, for the first time in the history of Darjeeling, the mall was given to an organization for a public function. And the moment Kamala and I entered that mall, we had a few hundred or thousand children holding banners of Nimish Uncle, Kamala Auntie, we love you. Now what was that? That was not Nimish Uncle and Kamala Auntie, the physical forms. It was an expression of their love for Bhagwan. It was nothing to do with me or Kamala. Absolutely nothing. It was purely a grace of God. And the last proof of how you are destined and things are to be done is the case when I want to share with you my visit to Shimla, not Shimla, it was the Kangra Valley in Himachal. In the month of December, In the month of, no, in December, the state president asked me that please let us plan a visit to Kangra in the month of May. I was not keeping very well those days. And I said it may not be possible. So please tell the people that it is cancelled. I cannot come. In a month's time, the state president called me and said, all the people in Kangra, there are messages coming in different temples that don't listen to your only president. He will come. So I told the state president, don't be so funny. I can't. My health is not good. I can't come. But lo and behold, what happened, brothers and sisters? Came the month of May. My wife and I went to Delhi and we told him that, okay, we'll come. And when we reached Delhi, we finished the meeting in Delhi and we were to catch a flight next day to Kangra. The flight was to leave at 10:30. So we were to reach the airport at 9:30. So I was staying very close to the airport. When Kamala and I reached the airport at 9:30, we were told that the flight is about to leave. So I said, how can it? 10:30 is the time. He said, no, we've sent a message to the number that the flight has been preponed. Now, my state president who had booked the tickets did not inform me. I am at Indira Gandhi Airport at New Delhi, which is the highest security airport, and the SpiceJet counter is closed. And I'm being told that the flight is about to leave in a few seconds. And if I miss this flight, the next flight is next day. And at the arrivals, there were 2,000 to 3,000 people waiting for a public meeting for Kamala and me to reach there in time. If I miss this flight, 3,000 people waiting for me would have all gone back. So I immediately prayed to Swami. Kamala and I both prayed to Swami. Swami, what do we do? You won't believe me. The moment we prayed, a woman came out of the SpiceJet counter and said, Mr. Pandya, what can I do for you? I said, look, I had this is a problem. She immediately picked up the walkie-talkie and told the flight control people that I'm sending 2 passengers. Please wait for them. You won't believe me, brothers and sisters. In the tight security, we were given highest security. We zapped through security. At the exit gate, there was a SpiceJet car waiting for us. We took that car and went to the aircraft, which was quite away, and everybody had boarded. The flight was only waiting for Kamala and myself. We entered the flight, and the flight took off. When I say this, I again have hair standing on my hand that can't happen. This can only happen because of Swami and nobody else. And as I land at the Kangra airport, Kamala and I are inspecting the welcome of all the Samiti. And what do I see? On the board of each Samiti, as I'm walking by, Vibhuti is manifesting on the boards of each Samiti that we're going through. How a beautiful world it can be, brothers and sisters, when we surrender to Master, when we try to align ourselves with the divine power in ourselves. And therefore, I tell you this journey, if I am supposed to be a leader of the Sai organization, the first thing is that I am nobody. The second thing is, it is my constant duty to be nice to people, to be loving to people. My duty is to ensure that the love of Swami reaches everyone. There is no logic, there is no intelligence here. It is only unconditional love. There's only give, give and give. There is no take here at all. And this give and give is out of self-confidence. That the more you give, the more you get. It is with self-confidence that, depending upon the Master within, is the safest bet you can take. It is the best insurance. It is the best protection that you can ever have, that the Master is within yourself. I urge that these are some few examples. There are so many things that I need to share with you, but time is running short. But I will definitely tell you that if you are with God, you get the respect that God deserves. If you are not with God, then you are like a boulder tossing in the ocean with no direction, nothing. You could be a bubble that merges into the ocean without any impact, but you could be a drop of water that goes into the full shell, and that one drop can become a pearl. If we want to become a pearl, or we want to get lost like millions of droplets in the ocean, is a decision that we have to take. It's a decision that we must pray to Swami that he helps us to take. It's a decision when Swami blesses that we need to work hard on that. And what is that hard work? That hard work is adopt the entire platform of the Satsang organization in its essence. This is not something where you do work for somebody else. This is a platform where you do work to see that you yourself improve. That self-transformation is the goal of this leadership program. The self-transformation is important. Not important how great you are, how erudite you are, how well you can speak, how well you can carry the certificate in your hand. No, nothing matters. What only matters, the real success of the leadership program is a self-transformed you, always smiling, always happy, always self-confident, willing to accept failure and success in his own stride. Because at the end of the day, when you leave this world, you leave without anything. You only leave with your karmas of positive thoughts and positive love for people. Sairam, and thank you very much for this opportunity. I hope I've not bored all of you, but whatever little I've learned, I wish to share with you, and may God bless all of you. Jai Sairam.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your pearls of wisdom and your journey with all of us. Brothers and sisters, the platform is now open for question and answers. I request all of you, all those who have questions, to please raise your hands and please unmute yourself to ask your question when your name is announced. You can also post your questions on chat box. Anybody having any questions?
Yeah, 2, 3 hands are up, 4 hands are up.
Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, Brother Kosto, I request you to please go ahead. Brother Kosto, can you hear me?
Yes, Sairam. Actually, I was not able to unmute myself. So
Okay.
can you hear me now?
Go ahead.
Yes, I can hear you, Kaustubh.
Yeah. Sairam, sir. Sir, just wanted to know what is the effective way of doing the prayer to Swami, because at one instance you said that you have to pray to Swami, and in other instance you said that sometimes you don't have to pray to Swami, he will understand. So a bit confused
Okay.
there.
No. So the idea is very simple. The fact is that the master is fully aware of what you are and what you need. It's like the Swami used to give this example that even the mother, unless the child cries, the mother doesn't feed the child. Okay. So crying is your duty. You have to pray to him to let him know that you want him to do this. He knows what to do. It is his strategy doesn't change because of your prayer. When you pray, he knows what is to be given to you and what is not to be given to you. But the prayer helps you to align yourself with him and get that self-confidence. You see, that I've asked God. Now, he will do what he wants to do at best. Okay. Therefore, the power of prayer is something, not that it is a contract, no, Kaustuv, that if I pray, you must give me. It's not like that. Okay. Power of prayer is an earnest wish that you express to the Lord, but with the faith that the Lord will do exactly what is good for you. Okay. That faith is very, very important. Therefore, it is not something quid pro quo. That look, I am in difficulty today. There is a policeman standing on my door. Swami, please throw him off. It doesn't work that way. God doesn't respond to you the way you want him to respond, because he knows better than you. Okay. He can help you otherwise. I'll tell you one thing. Let me give you an example that in my professional life also, I had some issues with some clients of mine, and there were some threats that came to me and all that. Okay. So I had two strategies. No? Either I counter it, so when I prayed to Swami, and I told Swami, if I am wrong, help me to correct myself. But if I am not wrong, I don't want to succumb. Okay. So there were both the dimensions. There was some mistake which I had made, which promptly I got a intuitive fact to correct it. The rest was history. He came in my dream and told me, don't worry about that guy, he'll never come to your door. But at the same time, he did tell me where I had gone wrong. Okay. So he knows best, Kaustuv. You see, when it comes to God, or the power within yourself, faith is the ruling factor, not logic, not expectation, not quid pro quo. It's faith. You have to trust. Now, it's like jumping in the water when you want to learn swimming for the first time. There's no logic,
True.
कूदो देखो क्या होता है ना. Like somebody asked one of the senior teachers, melody जो sweet आती है ना, melody जो आती है, उसका स्वाद पूछा, melody का स्वाद क्या है? बोला खुद खाओ और खुद जान जाओ. There is no description. खाओ और जानो.
So true.
So it's like that. For example, even Sachin plays cricket. I mean, it is the practice. It is the effort that he goes through, which is not necessary that he will not fall he'll get out or if the stump will get or he'll be caught. But with that constant effort of trusting power within and the perfection that he has, that he will succeed more often than not. Okay, it can happen. He hits a shot which is not good. It goes high up in the air, but the fielder may drop it. Okay, that's the whole situation. When the Lord wants to change, He can change. It's a matter of faith. Prayer is a must. Prayer is what is like unburdening yourself. It's like telling your mind to shut up and offer it to God. Okay, that this. Otherwise, you just keep on brooding on it all the time.
So doing regular prayer is actually building our trust on Swami every day.
Yes, or letting him know as a friend. You see, take human psychology also. If there is something inside your mind which keeps on brooding and you're not sharing it with anybody, it can create a psychological issue. So normally a psychiatrist will tell you, why don't you share it with me? Go on the bed, pay $500 and sleep on the bed and tell me. Okay.
True.
Now, here is the psychiatrist, the super psychiatrist who tells you, share your burden with me and I will tell you what to do. Not necessarily a psychiatric patient who goes to a psychiatric bed. The psychiatrist will do exactly what he wants to say or what he wants. The psychiatrist will guide him what is to be done. He will show him the path forward. But why not depend upon the best psychiatrist? When you go to a psychiatrist, might as well go to the best one. Isn't it? Pray to him. So prayer is also an expression of how you put all your burdens at the divine lotus feet for him to help you. And he loves it. The moment you go to him as a patient, also, he loves it all the more. Okay. And he'll go out of the way. This God doesn't charge any fees. वो तो तुम एक मांगो तो 10 दे देते वैसा है.
Thank you very much, sir. I'm so grateful.
So the next question is that being the All India President, how are you so accessible to everyone?
How am I so?
Accessible to everyone.
Oh, very simple. Don't think, don't imagine, don't believe that you are the All India President. Simple. Believe that you are one with everybody else. All are equal. Everybody has the same right. The All India President is as much as a student who's journeying to the divine lotus feet as probably sister you are or anybody else. Nobody on the path of spirituality, nobody is big, nobody is small. These are all auras that you create for your self-aggrandizement. And moment as an All India President, you decide that you don't want to be egoistic and you don't want to take your role too seriously. You know, I don't think you should take any post seriously. What is important is earning the love of Bhagavan. And the only way to earn the love of Bhagavan is to meet everybody and have the opportunity of seeing God in everyone. I mean, otherwise, why would I waste time in the Sai organization? This was not the goal. Our goal is very simple. See the divine in everyone. If that is your goal, life is beautiful. Everybody comes and helps you. You help everybody. All are together. You join together in divinity. And God is happy with all that. So never take your post seriously. You know, मैं officer हूँ, मैं manager हूँ, मैं leader हूँ. The Sathya Sai National Leadership Program doesn't want us to learn this very thing. The more and more humble we get, the more and more united we are with people on the same keel. I think it's better.
Definitely, sir. Now we will move on to the next question. Brother Sai Krishna, please unmute yourself to ask your question.
Sairam, am I audible, sir?
Yeah, Sai.
Sir, I have this question that on this path to devotion and inculcating the right and good habits, I observe that my vulnerability has increased socially. So the cunningness and the upper-handedness has decreased. So there is a fear of being taken advantage of because not everyone loves all serves all. And when I asked this question to one senior brother just today, he said having the absolute faith in Swami that he is the doer would be the solution. But I would like to know, how does this absolute surrender happen? Can I do something for it?
Yes. See, being good can make you vulnerable is a very comparative concept. What is vulnerability? You see, being good doesn't mean that you stop being right. Being good doesn't mean that you go out of your way and do things which are not ethical or not dharmic. Being good is not being mean to people. Being good is not making the other person feel that he is, that his love should not be. For example, if I, as an All India president, I am the authority and I have to deal with somebody, and when people say I'm nice to everybody, I'm accessible to everybody. I'm accessible to the extent that I don't bother what they feel about me, point one. Secondly, I'm accessible that I will do what I think is right for that person. Number two. Three, if I have to tell him and do something for him, I will not do with an overbearing feeling of making him feel that I am doing this for him. Okay? And thirdly, at the same time, protecting myself from being used by the other person also is equally. Swami is to say that you don't bite like a snake, but you have to hiss. Hissing is your protecting and standing up for dharma is correct. But you don't take it to a level where it becomes a war of a kind. Follow my point? For example, let me tell you this. Take the story of Vidura in Mahabharata. Okay? Vidur was a very great man. Vidur was actually controlling the whole Hastinapur, the kingdom. But when he realized that his goodness is not being taken correctly and his goodness is being misused, so he didn't want to be a part of a system which was adharmic. So what did he do? He expressed himself. He said what he had to say and then backed out. Okay. In fact, in one of the stories with Karna also, when Karna was asked by Krishna, Karna asked Krishna, what was my fault? Why did I suffer like this? Despite being the best. So then Krishna tells him that Karna, out of all the sins that you committed, the biggest sin that you committed is that you were being nice to Duryodhana. But that was not correct. You should have opened your mouth when there was adharma in that sense. You should have opened your mouth and said what was wrong at that point of time. Because keeping quiet in the face of adharma, just to be nice to people, also is not correct. That's when other people misuse you. So that's where I think we should be careful that the whole position of being nice to people emanates from self-confidence, emanates from a perfect sense of being in control of your thought, word, and deed at all times. And once you are in control of your thought, word, and deed all the time, you will protect yourself from being misused by people. At the same time, continue loving unconditionally. Because if you have a condition attached to your goodness, then there is a problem. If there is unconditionality, then that is power which will numb the other guy whom you want to be.
Thank you, sir. Sairam.
Thank you, sir. The next question is, I request Sister Vaibhavi to please go ahead.
Sairam, sir, am I audible?
Yeah, you are. Thank you, Vaidhi. Sairam.
Sairam, sir. So actually, it's been a year since I moved to Ireland after getting married. My husband is actually he's not a Sai devotee, and whenever I participate here in RN Seva or attend, leadership program sessions and everything, he says, even in this 21st century, who believes in Swami, and give me, examples of his miracles, and he questions me, and I start getting, self-doubts, and I struggle to explain him, and it creates a friction in our marriage. So how do I handle such situation? How can I continue my devotion to Swami and explain it to him in a way that brings us closer than growing apart?
Good. Very, very good question, Devi. First of all, remember that your husband is not a Sai devotee is a wrong statement. I'm sure your husband is a nice man. Because there is no brand of Sai devotee. Nobody has been given a brand establishment of who's a Sai devotee, Vaidhi. Sai devotee is not a person who keeps photographs in his pocket or goes to the Sai center all the time. If you sit back and think a Sai devotee is a person, or devotion per se is defined by Bhagavan himself, it is by a person who's both balanced in happiness and sorrow. He is a devotee. He is a devotee of Bhagavan. Therefore, first of all, remove from your mind this fact that you are a Sai devotee and your husband is not a Sai. Point one. Point two, your husband being a human being itself, remember that this Sai and the power of Sai is residing inside you and inside your husband. It is not outside. The outside manifestation that he should come into the bhajan center or not is not a story. He must see in you those qualities of Swami, where you can give him unconditional love, you can sacrifice to make him understand. It is only when he sees the qualities of divinity in you that he will transform. By telling him, he will not transform. By forcing him, he will not transform. And secondly, is he has a lovely question to ask you. Who in this today's world listens to Sai Baba? Who believes in Swamis this year? He is absolutely right. If you think in the context of the world today, with so many Swamijis all over the world, that poor chap can't differentiate because he has no experience. He has never been to this path. Now you'll ask me, how do I give this experience to him? His experience will come by the very course that you are doing. This course must transform you. He must see the transformation. And prayer to Swami is such a personal thing. Prayer to Swami and devotion to Swami is not a manifestation for the world to know. It is a very personal thing between you and Swami. And the more you enhance this personal devotion to Bhagavan, and it manifests in your day-to-day life, that will inspire your husband. Oh my God, my wife can do this. I'm seeing her so much at peace. She's so happy. And imagine by the sheer sadhana that you do, the vibration around you becomes so positive that in that positive vibration, the day is not far when your husband will tell you, come by the, I'll come with you to the Sai Center. See, he has to experience it. By telling him, it can't happen. Because, and don't ever believe that there is no divinity in him. There are all the ingredients of his being a perfect devotee of the Lord and Master. It's not a Krishna consciousness or a Shiva temple or this or our Master, Bhagavan, has taught us that he is the ultimate divine power resplendent in everyone. Today in your marriage, Vaidehi, your first duty is to bring this understanding and adjustment between the two of you so that both of you become complementary to each other in the life and the expectation that you have. Your devotion to Swami is your strength, is your fuel. To be able to match him, to be able to be with him, to be able to understand. Oral words will not change him, Vaidehi. It's your behavior, your demeanor, your aura that will change your husband. Try that, my God. Keep this devotion personal to you. Don't let it manifest and don't let it become a show issue where the more you go to a bhajan center, the more you talk about Swami, the more he gets prejudiced against Bhagavan. No. And it's our fault. We are not giving him a chance to understand the reality of life. That he will understand only by your inspiration. Try this. Correct yourself on that and I think you'll be fine.
Sure. Thank you, sir.
Don't go with him that I will do what my Swami told me. No, your Swami told you to be loving. Your Swami has told you to match your husband. Your Swami has told you marriage is a great conjunction. And understanding what he needs at the same time, with you big Swamis, your sacrifice can be of the highest level. Happy sacrifice, not jabarjasti, not depressing sacrifice.
Yes,
Give him a
sir.
chance.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yes. Inspire him, don't instruct him.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
So the next and the last question for today's session, and for the rest of the questions, brothers and sisters, we will compile the questions and get back to you with the answers. So, sir, the last question is that if everything is going according to the master plan, then what is the use of discrimination and what is the significance of it? How do we proceed? Yes, sir. That's the question.
That is a big question. You see, if you follow the director and his script, then the actor is still acting on the stage. You see? Action of the actor on the stage is the effort, but the plan and the direction is by the director. I remember the story of a young student who went to Swami in the interview room. The same question was asked to Swami. What is the difference between free will and destiny? So Swami gave a lovely example. He told the student in front of everybody, okay, you raise your hand up. So the boy raised the hand up. Then he said, put it down. So the boy put it down. Swami asked him to do this 2-3 times. So then Swami explained, see, your effort is coming up. Your effort and my effort together, you can put your hands up. Now he says, try again. The boy tried and the hand won't go up. How much ever he tried, he got scared that maybe he's paralyzed or something. He said, then, see, your effort is there, but my effort is not there. Now I'm adding my effort to your effort. Now lift your hand. Again, the hand went up. Okay? It's a conjunction. It is this great friendship between Krishna and Arjuna. It is a great friendship between you as the individual Atma and the Paramatma together to work together on this issue. Therefore, as the actor performs on the stage, he's performing, he's doing his skill set, but he's doing exactly in accordance with the script which is written by the master. And that's the time when the beauty emerges. Now imagine if the actor does something which is not in the script, it's going to be disaster for the actor. He will never be successful. But if the actor acts in consonance with the script, then it is perfect. Now the question will come, how do you know whether you're doing it in sync? That's the whole exercise of sadhana. To see, align yourself. Like the experiment in physics. Many of you physics students would know that there's an experiment in physics called the parallax error. There is a concave lens and there are two needles on the opposite side. And there's an experiment that you try to align the two needles through the convex lens so that both the needles become one. But this is an experiment. You have to keep on doing this till you succeed. And therefore, effort on your part to align with the master is important.
Thank you so much, sir. And the second part of the question is like, what challenges did you face in your professional life which enabled you to develop the good virtues inside of you?
Well, I think the challenges in the professional life were met because I already learned the virtues at the Divine Lotus feet. You see, the first thing in life when you face a challenge, whether it is professional or otherwise, the fearlessness, the self-confidence to face it, and there also do your best without worrying for the result can help you to achieve what is to be done. If this is the attitude at the human level, and if you have faith in the Divine Master's support and being with you, then this combination of fearlessness, self-confidence, facing the devil, you know, the 4 F's that Swami used to say, you know, face the devil, fight till the end, finish the game. It's a very important message in life. The 4 F's are that you be determined, do it to your best, finish it, face it. Normally people try to run away from problem. What I learned with Swami was face the problem, go through it, surrender to him, pray to him at the same time, use your best skills to see that you face the thing properly. So if you go to see in the legal profession, challenges are various kinds. The challenges can be of truth and untruth. The challenges can be of integrity. The challenge can be that you are being sort of humiliated or not getting the exact result that you want. And it's a dogfight there. So in the dogfight, to keep your balance, to keep your equilibrium, and not react the way people will want you to react. In life, many people egg you on. They want to make you angry. They want to make you jealous. They want to make you feel down. But that's the time, if you as a young human being, or you're as a human being, if you're fortified in the fact that God is your friend within yourself, your conscience, your self-confidence, and the faith that you do your best, that'll help. One such incident I can share in my legal profession was that in a particular matter, I was being, I learned the hard way. I was a young lawyer and I had another senior opposite to me. And I didn't know everything about law. As I told you, I was learning online. And the other senior misguided me into signing some papers in the court. And I told him that, sir, if my client doesn't agree, I may have to change this. He said, no, don't worry, we can always change. So he misguided me. I signed that paper. And then my client wanted me not to accept that proposition in court, but file an appeal. I was a young lawyer. I did not know. I filed the appeal and the appeal court fired me left, right, and center, telling me that how dare you file? You have consented to this order. So when you consent to something, you can't go in appeal against that when you have consented to it. So I said, I never consented. And I went back to the trial court and I started arguing. And the trial court really fired me left, right, and center for being aggressive and trying to convince the court. And somehow there were other seniors who sort of calmed me down and saved me, and taught me for the first time that you need to be balanced. You cannot get excited. You cannot lose your balance. You cannot enter into a rage in life. When it's balanced, you come to know. But that was a great learning lesson for me. And I remember my high court is near the sea. I went to the seashore and I was crying away my heart out for what a mess I was in. But that's the time when I got that calming message. Learn, be calm, be careful next time. Never trust people. Know your subject well. Be perfect in what you do. And when you know your subject well, if you are perfect in what you do, then you are perfectly sound in your approach to meet the challenges of life.
Thank you so much, sir. One profound message of being perfect and doing the best in whatever we do.
Correct.
I have learned that.
Very
Yes, yes. And it was reassurance like what Krishna told, do your best and be least bothered about your. Yeah,
Correct. That's
yeah.
the best way forward.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. And another important and interesting question from all of us. We all would love to know how your divine marriage was performed by the Lord Himself. If you could quote few sweet memories from your divine marriage.
I don't think it is relevant anymore now after 4 and 5 decades of marriage. But yes, let me recollect. Yes, my wife and I, my wife was a Bal Vikas guru, and she used to teach my youngest brother who used to go to Bal Vikas. And that's how I also entered the sphere of Swami, because my younger brother was going to Bal Vikas. And I was, as I told you, I used to love dramas and dramatics and culture programs. So in the organization also, I was picked up to do that work. And when you do culture and art, you're always connected with Bal Vikas. And that's where I met Kamala as a Bal Vikas guru. And she was very popular, and she was a leader that time. I was not a Bal Vikas guru. I only used to do dramas and to help in the cultural programs. But somewhere down the line, one day there was a big public function in Mumbai where Swami was there. And Kamala was a very, very unique speaker. She was a very erudite speaker. She still is. But somehow, I think that day in the public meeting when she must have spoken, I was very impressed that this girl speaks very well. And that also in front of Swami, and there was Bal Thackeray, the Shiv Sena leader, was there on the stage. So that confidence, that exuding of the language, the demeanor, the self-confidence impressed me. But then I discarded that in my mind. I didn't think too much about it. But then in the evening at Dharmakshetra, Swami caught me and he says, "Oh, you looked at that girl." So I was a little wondered which girl he's talking about. And then it struck me that, yes, I was impressed with Kamala and he was speaking. And that's how he sowed the seed that, I mean, I would have forgotten, but when he reminded me, I think my mind must have got stuck there. And we, both the parents were known to each other. So we decided that we would approach Swami. But you see, my mental state prior to that meeting with Kamala was that I wanted to dedicate my life to Swami, not start the world, not get into, how a young man is like fanaticism sets in. But that was not the destiny for me. And so Swami, when both the parents used to go to meet Swami, he would say yes to Kamala's parents and to Kamala, and would say no to my parents. So this war went on, So both the families were very confused whether this marriage is to happen or not happen, whether Swami is saying yes or no. Because as a very unique situation, he would give interview to my parents and say, no, this girl is not good for you. You get another girl. And at the same moment the interview is over, he would go to Kamala in the crowds and say, no, don't worry, I'm giving you the same boy. So like this drama went on. But in hindsight, I think it was more to condition my mind and to see that I'm mentally willing to do this as a commitment. See, as a young man, you do get attracted to women, but the commitment is another story. To take a life partner is a very serious decision. And maybe I was not ready for that at that time. So I think this whole drama went on for that. And the the omnipresence was amazing, because even those days, just prior to the marriage, whatever I would do, he would know. Whatever Kamla would say, he would know. So that omnipresence expression was mind-boggling. I mean, there was nothing hidden from him, from kind of situation. And then the wedding happened, and suddenly one day he said, "Okay, come on, come to Puttaparthi. Let's get married." So he performed the wedding himself. And it's a very unique experience when God himself sits and recites the mantra. Then he is the Pandit of the whole ceremony. So that was cute. The miracle of Kamla's Mangal Sutra, the normal stuff that Swami used to always do, the ring. And I was quite a cynic chap. I used to doubt him that day also. Even those days I used to doubt him. So when he took out the ring, it was not the same size. So I in my mind, I was saying, "See, God, I caught you now. You must have picked out from somewhere. It's not the right size. Otherwise, if you make it, then it has to be the right size." So everything went on. The very unique thing of that wedding was the lesson that he taught me at that wedding itself. While he was performing my wedding with Kamala, on the other hand was the death ceremony of another person. There was a lady whose husband had died. So imagine Swami was the same room. On one hand, he's talking to me and Kamala and my parents and her parents about marriage and about unity and about going further. On the other hand, he's explaining to that lady, "Why are you worried?" And see what he says to her. He said, "Why are you worried? Before marriage, he was nobody. After marriage, is nobody. You and I are one. Why are you worried?" So there he is teaching detachment, and here he is promoting attachment. Okay. So that was a big lesson for me and for all of us, that life is like that. You go together, but you have to realize that one day you will part. One day it will break open. One day you will go. One day people around you will not be there. That's the great thing. But at the occasion of marriage, he did a great job. Then to convince me and my doubting mind, he made a ring. He took my ring out of my finger and said, "Oh, it's not fitting, huh?" He blew it and made it so beautiful. There were 2 white diamond studs, and that ring fitted me very well. And once it fitted me very well, he said, "See, such a good ring. Even a goldsmith can't do like this." But then the joy and sorrow coming together, then he tells me, "But you see, you're not used to. You're going to lose this ring one day." So I'm wondering in my mind, am I mad? Why should I lose this ring? But it happened. I lost the ring on Singapore airport, in Changi airport, in a split second. And I realized his words were so true. Even after that, when we said to him that, "Swami, we lost," he said, "Don't worry, you don't need it anymore." But that ring was so beautiful that after marriage, when I used to go to court, even the judges used to ask me across the bar, "What are you wearing?" We used to dazzle, used to really dazzle. But you see, that also has no meaning. It had to go. And that was a great lesson. So marriage was a beautiful experience. And the best thing which I would like to share with all you young sisters and brothers who are here, he had a very good message to give me. He said, "See, marriage is a unity of souls." And he did a beautiful trick. When we did Aarti to him, there were 2 camphor pieces and they lit separately. So what he did, like a carom board, when you sit a striker, he lit camphor in such a way that it hit the other one and merged. And then he said, "Look, shadi se pehle do, shadi ke baad ek." It was an amazing story that he mentioned. And then he told me, "Look, in life, you must understand first. In a relationship, you must first understand and then adjust. If you try to adjust without understanding, it'll create chaos. And therefore, you have to spend time to understand each partner's and then adjust to each other's needs. Then the journey is very safe." So that's a little glimpse into my marriage and what I learned out of that.
Sairam sir, thank you for narrating such a wonderful episode. After all, only Bhagwan knows when to bring the right person into our lives.
Correct.
On that note, one of the issues that has been pillaging most of us young adults is work-life balance. While Bhagwan quite eloquently mentions head in the forest, hands in the society, we were wondering, how are you able to balance such a huge responsibility that you have taken up in the organization besides your regular employment? Also, a second part to this question, how does it feel to be working in an organization right now and Swami is physically not present?
Okay. This whole challenge of work-life balance, to me, is a misnomer for the simple reason that you are one human being, you get up in the morning, it's the same 24 hours. The question is of priority. The question is of what you should be doing in terms of prioritization. To me, spirituality and day-to-day life has never been different. It is not that spirituality is that what you do on a Saturday, Sunday, and the other day this is this. It's not that way. And the biggest thing I learned was from my mentor, Indulal Shah, who was the first All India President and the first trustee with Swami. He was a very eminent chartered accountant. And when I met him for the first time, he threw me out of the office because I walked in barehanded. And so I was very surprised why he threw me out and was so insolent. But then he told me, next time you enter my office, you enter with a diary and see that you have a diary in your hand. So I realized, yes, that's a great thing. When you discuss something, you make notes and you take care of that. Now you would say, somebody will say, okay, this is just managerial instruction or this is advice. But I realized that in the path of spirituality, perfection is important. Whatever you do, you must do good. That's the spirit. The distinguishing factor is not whether you are going to work in your office or you're going to do Seva in the village. Idea is prioritization, because in life in 24 hours, your mind can take you to various differences. But your intelligence, streamline, prioritize what is to be done. And if you work as per the priority, then there is enough time to do everything. Secondly, procrastination. Secondly, mindless thinking. Thirdly, friends, spending time with friends in unnecessary chatter. And the fourth, even letting the mind chatter unnecessary. These are all checkpoints. If you do all these checkpoints, you will find that the work-life balance comes. And suppose I'm married. Now, in my urge to be the best executive in my company, I will sacrifice my time for my children, for my wife, for my family, for my parents. Not necessary. 24 hours. You have to do the extra bit to spend your time more judiciously rather than compromise on your time with your family. Because if you are a son, you have to do your duty as a father, to your parents. If you're a husband, you need to give time to your wife. You have to be and when you are sitting with your wife, you cannot carry the burden of your office. Therefore, each moment, every second, the mind has to be free. It should be in the present. If the mind is not in the present, then it is very difficult. For example, suppose if I'm talking to you today now, I'm a lawyer, I'm an All India President, I have so many projects going on. Today when I talk to you, I don't have to say, oh, let me finish or this guy is asking unnecessary question. No, I want to do my duty, what Swami would want me to do as today when I'm talking to you. Okay. Postponing things, delaying things, not planning things are problems with the work-life balance. Okay. It's very important. I've seen many young men and women fall apart because the balance is not there. The prioritization is not there. The time is not there. And the mind carrying back luggage of the past or the tension of tomorrow or the expectations of the work done or the guilt of not having done the thing at the right time. You see, this problem of work-life balance comes. Suppose I've been told to prepare for a case tomorrow. And if I have not prepared for the case tomorrow, then tomorrow morning when I go, I'm fighting with everybody for no rhyme or reason. Just because I am guilty that I have not done. Because I am tense. I am worried what's going to happen because I have not prepared. What will the judge say? What will the client say? And in that tension, I'm misbehaving with my wife. I'm not having breakfast correctly. My child comes to me and screaming at him. You see this? Calm. Being in the present. Doing your duty, right time, right place. Completing the work that you need to do. And focusing in the given moment to do perfectly what you're supposed to do. This is the real key to work-life balance. You see, I believe there is enough time for everything in life. God is there. He creates time for you. He'll create a situation whereby If you are committed to doing what you are doing, God will always help. I think that's the important thing to do. It's only when you don't control your mind and let your mind go awry, work like that. And understand spirituality is a every second affair. It is not a weekend affair. Okay? Because spirituality basically it's attitude. Be, do, and tell. Integrity of thought, word, and deed. Spirituality is relying upon the fact that you do your best and don't expect the results to go where you want. The satisfaction lies in the nature of the work that you've done with perfection. The joy and happiness lies there. The joy and happiness does not lie in the result. Okay? The result can be anything. You never know. You're not a guarantor of the result. God is the guarantor of what can happen. But the joy of doing your job the best, nobody can take it away from you. That's it. That's the other part. What was the other part of the question you said?
How does it feel to be working in the organization, not at least in this capacity, especially when Swami is not physically present?
No. So you learn with experience, son. If I could spend some time amongst the millions of people who did with Swami, I constantly heard him say that look, this body is not God. God is inside you. It is awareness. It is energy. It is spirit. Okay. So when I learned this, and when I was coaxed by Bhagavan to experience it, not that I must claim that I've experienced that fully, but to some extent, 5%, 10%, 15%, I do believe that God is something, it's an awareness, it's a consciousness. It is not a statue. It is not a photo. It is not an image. It is not a temple. It is with you. And the more you challenge yourself to experience this, then your life becomes another dimension. It takes another joy. I remember people say that I can speak on the stage, but every time I spoke about God is within, Swami used to always tap my head and say, you're only speaking. You have no experience. That's the day when I realized that you have to yearn to experience God with you. And that means you must trust Him. That means you must have the courage to trust Him. Because the moment you talk of trust and faith, your mind will tell you you're a foolish chap. And that time you have to tell the mind, shut up, you are the foolish person. I'm going to trust God. And with that experience, you see, spirituality and experience of God is a result of practice. It's not a result of debate. It's not a result of reading books. It's not a result of discussion. You have to plunge yourself in experience. Like the first shot at swimming, you just got to jump in the water. The moment you jump in the water, but if you sit on the bank and plan and strategize and make a PowerPoint, which angle you should fall in the water, all that doesn't work.
Sairam sir, thank you so much for this wonderful explanation to our questions on balancing the work life and responsibilities. The point I will take away from this was about procrastination and guilt, sir. But as we all have multiple relationships at work and home, sometimes we have formed great bonds, whereas basic human nature we start expecting from them, like they should understand us or things. But when those expectations aren't met, how we should handle that, sir, and not get disappointed?
You see, the very nature of expectation is like a mortgage. When you have something with you and you give that to somebody else, then that guy controls you. If you take a loan, and as long as you pay the loan, it's fine. But the day you default, then that guy can make your life miserable. So expectation also is like that. This is the first presumption in life which I have learned over the years. I mean, I made my own mistakes also. Is this expectation, apeksha, as it is called in Sanskrit, that if I take a particular step, I need a particular reaction. As long as this is a contract, you will always have this situation that some contracts will work and some contracts will not work. It's the very nature of contract. Between two friends, between husband and wife, between parents and children, between the boss and the employee. If you are doing something to do something and expect something in return, you could be successful, you could be not successful. That means what is happening? You are plugging your joy and happiness and satisfaction. That if it happens, you are happy and joyful. If it doesn't happen, then you are down, depressed, upset. Now, nobody's fault. You are putting yourself in that situation. But if you go back to the theory which I mentioned, which Swami always wanted, that in life, there is a process of taking and there's a process of giving. And Swami used to say, love gives and forgives, self gets and forgets. We all remember that. It's not a slogan. It's not something that we clapped when Bhagavan spoke about. It's a reality of life. It's an experiment, which if you do, you will realize that the more you give, the more you get. The more you take, the less you get. This is a universal phenomenon. Unconditional love, unconditional service, unconditional behavior, and unconditional respect are hallmarks of a good, I'm not talking of a sadhaka, I'm not talking, or hallmarks of a good personality. So what happens, your joy comes from doing your job perfectly. And at the same time, the joy comes from sharing what you have joined. Your joy is shared. Your happiness is shared. Okay, take this example in the relationship of a husband and wife. The husband would say, no, I must get my breakfast on my table at 8 o'clock. My chapati has to be like this. My porridge has to be like this. As long as your expectation of your wife doing this, the wife has to be in a complete mood of love and surrender and sacrifice to be able to do this for you constantly. And if she does this for you with love, affection, and great respect for you, once, twice, thrice, fourth, then she will also start expecting that you acknowledge that she has been doing this for you. And the day you stop acknowledging that this is it, then she has a problem. Okay? Now the question is, what would I do in such a situation? Is it open to me that I understand the stress that my wife is going through? Okay, that she's not in a good mood today, she's not good in health, she's not good, maybe she has a little problem with the other issues in the family. Am I lending a sympathetic ear to her? Am I saying that, look, I understand what you're saying. Today, forget it, let's not have the porridge. We'll both put together and make the tea together and share a cup of tea. This is the question of human relationships, where you give unconditionally. If you get, I've seen, if you deal with your wife or the wife deals with the husband with a complete sense of love, born out of strength, not of weakness, not out of compulsion, that look, I've married this man, I want to make him happy, finish, whatever. I'll do what is just, not do something unjust. But I will see that whatever I do for him within my capacity, I'll do. But I will be frank, the day maybe the wife is not well and she says, look, today I can't do this for you, please excuse me. Then the other common understanding, both have to give unconditionally. If both give unconditionally, the synergy is tremendous. But moment one doesn't give unconditionally and one demands and expects, then you'll have a problem. As a lawyer, I can tell you, all the problems arise out of expectation. You didn't look at me, you didn't say thank you to me, you didn't remember my birthday. I mean, these are all expectational sorrows that you create for yourself. If the strategy is to remain happy every moment, if the strategy is to be giving every moment, if the strategy is that my Lord is the doer and let him do, then that strategy will always keep you happy. Otherwise, it's a law of karma. I expect something, you don't do, I fight with you, then you fight with me. This chain will go on. Nobody can stop it. Okay. So again, the spiritual base of seeing divinity in your wife also, very difficult. Same way for the wife to see divinity in husband, very difficult. But it's a challenge. And life is a challenge. You have to meet it. There is no choice. But you should have the courage to put your confidence into action. That's important.
Sir, this was a wonderful guidance. What I took away was unconditional service, love, and respect. So another question arose in my mind is how can we convey our disagreement to a loved one with their actions, having known that those actions might harm our relationships, and how can we disagree without disrupting the relationships, sir?
You see, disagreement, see, again, disrupting the relationship is a result. Okay. Disagreement to be dealt with must be dealt with great respect to the other person, in a tone, in a voice, which is not devoid of love. Okay. Many times you'll find that in an argument, we say things to spite the other person. We say things to be mean to the other person. We say things to put the other person down. We say things to see that the other person succumbs to you in a disagreement. It's an ego fight. I want to tell you that I know better than what you know. Okay? Or I want, because it's the presence of 3-4 people, I want to ensure that I smack you down so that my image with the others grows up. If these issues surround a disagreement in a discussion, then it is impossible. But a disagreement must be dealt with one-to-one, in a tone, in a manner, with a bhav of putting the truth forward, putting your point forward, and then forgetting it. Okay? It's very difficult. You can't convince anybody else. No human being can change the other human. But if you put your point forward with calm, peace, unconditional love, and a prayer, then that will definitely carry. It's an experiment worth doing. Disagreements and arguments which are born out of these negative feelings which I mentioned to you, anger, greed, jealousy, spite, ego, then these disagreements will never get resolved. Only people like me will make money, that's all.
Thank you, sir, for beautifully elaborating on how should we drive our relationships and fill it with love. The next question is everything that happens actually according to God's plan? How do we know about Swami's plan and what he wants us to do? What is the role of discrimination in our lives?
See, Swami never discloses his plan. You are born and you have a duty to perform that you will, as a human being, your goal and mission is to understand human life itself. Who am I? In the process of understanding who am I, things will unfold. When I was 20, I never knew what God's plan was. When I was 18, I never knew what God's plan was. It unfolds. I'll give you my personal example. When I met Swami for the first time as a young man, he told me that, look, I have planned your life. I don't want you to interfere at all. See that you don't interfere. Now, see, if you hear this is like music to the ears, that all set, chinta nahi karo. Just sit back and relax. But that's not the point. The unfolding of the divine mystery is given. You can't do anything. Jyotishis, astrologers can tell you, but they are never true. They can never be true. They can be indicative, but they can never be true. Because ultimately, the last word is with the divine power. Your feelings, your prayers, your sense of surrender would determine what is happening. Let me give you 2 examples. One, I heard recently a lovely story from an actor who was narrating the Ramayana episode of the Setu. He says when Rama decided to build the Setu, he told the monkeys that you put the stones, let's put the stones, and Nal and Neel started. But when the bridge was ready, it was a very narrow bridge. And if everybody was worried that, will it sustain the weight of an entire army going through? So when they told Lord Rama said, no worry, let me go and see. He went near the Setu and put his foot there. People were worried whether the Setu will sustain or not. But the moment he stepped his foot on the bridge in the beginning, the entire Jalcha, that means the beings below the water, the beings in the ocean, they all came fully in support of Rama. And because all of them merged together to support the bridge became wider and wider. They all supported the bridge. And as the bridge became wider and wider with the help of the sea animals and the sea beings, the army crossed. And when they crossed, Jambavant asked Rama, that Swami, when you only did everything, you could do everything, why did you put us to work? Then Lord Rama says, not that. Jambavant, it is Purusharth. For grace to come, Purusharth is important. You have to work. If you don't do Purusharth, then grace will not fall. He says, when you did the Purusharth, the grace of Lord Rama came and made the bridge stronger by bringing the whole support. So there is grace and there is Purusharth. Purusharth is a minuscule part of it. It is seen. You can see Purusharth, but grace you cannot see. Grace before it's immense, it is limitless. Purusharth is limited, but grace is immense. Therefore, in life, the debate whether how do we know what is God's plan is irrelevant to my mind. But Purusharth, action, karma, done with the sense of detachment, karma done to perfection, karma done with a sense of goodness, karma done with a sense of self-amelioration, karma done with the sense of getting self-confidence, learning from experience, be, do and tell. If this is the attitude to action in day-to-day life, then the unfolding of God's plan is always there. Your role has been given to you by Him. But the idea is that the actor who's been given the role on the stage must do it to the best of his capacity. And therefore you'll find in many dramas before Swami used to call the Ravana. Maybe the Ravana is going on, Rama doesn't get the ring, but the Ravana gets the ring because he's done his role so perfect that it looks like Pakka Ravana. The director is happy, this guy did my role properly. Okay, let me give you the proof on the other side. So Purusharth and grace. Karpa. In Hindi, grace is called Kripa. In Hindi, they call Karpa. Karpa means what? Karta koi aur hai aur pata koi aur hai. Somebody is doing it, but the credit is going to somebody else. Here what happens? Real doer is God. God ensured that the Setu. But the Pane wala, the grace Pane wala was the Vanara. Karpa. Okay. Karta koi aur hai, pata koi aur hai. So this is the reverse situation of grace and action. The second story is, I remember my brother was looking after Swami in the mandir. And one day he brought, Swami asked him to bring a sari down, a sari for a lady. My brother was wondering why this sari now, there is no festival, there are no women. But he didn't. He just got the sari and kept it there on the window. After half an hour, a lot of letters came. And after the letters came, Swami just slipped through the letters and flicked one. And the letter went into my brother's arm. And he said, open, read it. So that brother was surprised that it was my mother's letter to Swami, saying that Swami, today is my 60th birthday and I want to receive your grace. Then Swami smiles at Mayur and tells him my brother's name. See, God answers the prayer even before the prayer is made. And this is not a story which I'm saying because it happened to my brother or to my mother. This is the reality of life. God knows what to do. Even before you pray, He knows where you are and what is wrong with you. He is ready, but He just wants that one thing, that acknowledgement that Sai, you are the doer. Please do this. So I will act as if I'm doing, but in my bhav, it is Swami working through me. Actually, if you go to see a hint which I would like to share of what I feel and experience out.
Just Swami is inside you. He's only working. See, today I'm talking to you. I don't think I am capable of talking to you. This is something which he wants to convey. He will convey. Now, I don't want to sound funny or like a lunatic on this issue, but in the spiritual world, everything boils down to yourself. It doesn't become external. It is not an intellectual exercise or a exercise which can be understood by the five senses. It's a feeling. एक जानकारी है. Whatever happens to you is our own karma. It's a result of our own karmas. Maybe we don't know, maybe we are not aware, maybe it's a past, future, we don't know. But I do believe that cause and consequence, action and reaction are a reality of the entire cosmos. And we being part of the cosmos, there can't be a cause, there can't be a reaction without an action. There can't be a result without a cause. Therefore, my firm belief is that it is very safe to lead life on the basis that whatever happens, you should not blame anybody else. In fact, whatever happens to you has to be understood as an experience from which you get up and move further. Okay, that's very important. For example, I may be a rich man today, but tomorrow I may be a pauper. Okay, am I going to blame the whole world? There could be some reason what I have done or what has been a part as a consequence of my action. But I have two options when I become a beggar again: to cry, blame the whole world, loot somebody else, make somebody else a pauper, or let me restart again. The consequence of doing the right thing at the right time. Maybe I'll polish shoes or whatever it is. I'll start again, but with confidence. The mind should be pure. The mind should be open all the time. You see, the biggest problem with us is that we always block our mind with so many concepts and so many fears that there is never any chance for the consciousness to give you a new solution, to inspire you to a new being, because you've blocked the light. That's what should not happen to my mind. Therefore, कर्म करो, श्रद्धा रखो और बड़े कॉन्फिडेंस से आगे बढ़ो कि तुम्हारा दोस्त, your friend God is always with you to protect you. It's not a short-term perception, it's a long-term perception. And at the end of the day, brother, you must always understand. You must be 20, 21, 22, I may be at 72 now. But time flies. And when you finish time, nothing remains with you except your positivity. Okay? Therefore, as a good human being, what should you be earning all the time? Keeping positive, staying in touch with happiness, being at peace. You should plan everything that you do to get you that feeling. Okay? And in this attempt, worrying about what your future is or what God has in plan for you doesn't make sense. But every day must be utilized. Every moment must be utilized with some karma which is self-ameliorating and gives you confidence. Therefore, don't get attached to people. It's when you get attached to people or have friends on whom you start depending, then you are misled. Then you go like a zigzag person. But you internalize. Therefore, I tell all the youth that every morning, 15 to 20 minutes of internalization, of quietude, for the conscience to inspire you are very important moments in life. That silence is a great source of inspiration and self-confidence.
Thank you, sir. It was really inspiring. So let me take this opportunity to ask a question that my friend wanted to ask. For her, Vedam and bhajans are not enough to connect with Swami. She needs some other form of sadhana to grow deeper connection with him. What sadhana do you regularly do to maintain that connection?
I think I must disagree with that, sister, that Vedam and bhajan alone cannot help and you need another sadhana to get closer to Bhagwan. It's like window shopping, okay? Then you go from shop to shop to shop to shop. That's not correct. You see, as we learn in the Sathya Seva organization, this whole process of realizing God within yourself, or strengthening your inner bond, depends upon mastering the mind. Okay. I've always learned as an EHV teacher, as a Bhavika guru, and also as a student of Swami's message. In essence, in life, the mind is the only key. If the mind is controlled, then everything is possible within yourself. And any exercise that helps you to control the mind is the best sadhana. Now see, if sister feels that Vedam is not enough, that means she's not doing Vedas correctly. She's not doing with the right attitude. Or if she believes that bhajan can't, then she's not doing bhajans properly. The same will be the fate if I tell her to do meditation, the same will be the fate there. Then she says, oh, no, after 10 days meditation is not good. Then she says, okay, go to do Seva. After some days she says, no, Seva is not good. No. She needs to be told, do what you like. There is no compulsion. But do it with the goal of controlling your mind. That means you should be able to see what thoughts come to your mind and what cannot. It is your decision. When the mind says, do this, I will not do it. I will pause. I will ask myself, is this good for me or not? That's the word discrimination that the other brother used. That discrimination is that pause between the compulsion of the mind and the answer of the heart. That pause is discrimination. That will tell you what to do and what not to do. Therefore, any sadhana which helps you to control the mind or to take a step, helps you to silence the mind or helps you to focus on one thought is the best sadhana for you. Because really speaking, spirituality is nothing but increasing the voice of conscience as a guiding factor and reducing the volume of the chatter of the mind. Now, anything could be this. I mean, you know, some women in the world have conquered have experienced spirituality by becoming the best focused people in the kitchen. You took Sakubai, take anybody's story. I mean, you could be, we have in Maharashtra so many saints, the Gora Kumbhar, from his Kumbhar, all that Chokha Mela used to grow, by the sheer fact of concentration in the work that you do, if your mind is quietened, the consciousness will guide you. That discrimination opportunity will come to you. Therefore, your friend should be told, don't pick and choose sadhana. Whatever you do something which you like consistently and do it with the feeling of the end result, which is ensuring that your mind is under your control. In the Sai organization, the opportunity is great. It's a framework of exercise. The spiritual wing helps you to conquer your mind. The education wing gives you knowledge of what is good and what is bad. And the service wing helps you to put into practice so that you experience with a real life experience all that is coming. It's a lovely package. I tell all the young men and women that you won't find a better package than the Satsang Seva organization, where if you participate in all the three wings, the benefit is only yours. The goodness that you do to others is incidental. But fundamentally, you are growing. You are growing with the sensitivity of love, unconditional love experience. You're going with the feeling of the calmness and being control of your mind, having the luxury and the skill set of listening to the voice of your conscience. These are the things which the Sai organization does for every young man and woman if he participates wholeheartedly in this organization.
Thank you, sir. Another question is, how can one pray without feeling guilty, as one constantly thinks that he or she is not worthy of asking Swami anything? So, sir, please guide us how to get over such feeling.
Man, this is like a situation where the child is afraid of asking the mother. And here the situation is still better. The mother is always with you all the time. And why would you feel guilty of asking something to God? You would feel guilty only when there is a separation, there is a distance. Okay? Let's see, when the mother and child, the mother knows everything about the child. The child cries, the child will go running to the mother. The child doesn't think whether my mother will get upset or not, isn't it? The child will go. Therefore, first of all, when there is a bond of friendship, like Krishna and Arjuna, like Sudama and Krishna. There is no hesitation. Because ultimately when God says you and I are one, actually you're telling yourself, you're asking yourself, you're seeking help from yourself. There is no second person. That's what Swami's message is. I and you and I are one. I'm always there. I'm with you. Ask me whatever it is. You can ask God anything without hesitation, without any kind of guilt. I'm telling you that. Anything. Personal, familiar, corporation, employment, job, whatever. You can even tell God, God, I feel like having 100 rasgullas today. Or if you have had 100 rasgullas, you can go and tell God, Swami, I had 100 rasgullas. Please save me, please help. No harm. If I made a mistake, I went and I think because of the conflict that I used to have with my father on the career part of it, we used to argue a lot. But then I had that habit. I'd go and say, Swami, I'm so sorry. I disputed my father. Please forgive me. Why should you feel guilty for going to somebody who's yours? She never. That's what prayer is. Tell him. Tell him everything. I tell you, God knows everything. You don't even have to tell him. If you just go to him, Swami, before you can open your mouth, he'll tell you. I remember this is a very famous one, I keep on saying all the time. When I went for a honeymoon after my marriage, we went to Goa. And obviously, as a young couple, when you go to Goa, you enjoy yourself, you go swimming, you eat, you have a nice time. And when I came back to Puttaparthi, I got an interview. And Swami repeated the entire story of Goa. How did I go there? Where did I stay? What was my room? Which was the hotel? When did I enter? When did I leave? What I spoke to my wife in the drawing room, what I spoke to my wife in the bedroom, what I did when I went to the sea. Everything. God doesn't let you know. He keeps your respect. He keeps your individuality. But he knows the slightest flicker of your mind. Slightest flicker of your mind. Therefore, there is nothing hidden. And when there is nothing hidden, it is total confidence, no? Okay? It's total confidence. Therefore, he must tell you that never feel guilty. Always pray to God. You are allowed to pray to God anything. Anything. At any time. And he will answer. He will take care. If it's good for you in his way. But there also, again, the underlying factor is he will do what he knows is good for you. Okay? But you see, feeling guilty is not self-confidence. Decrying yourself is demeaning yourself. Amrutasya putraha. Divyatma swarupdulaka. You have to believe I'm not an ordinary person. The very fact that I'm born as a human being, brothers and sisters, is exemplary. It is the pinnacle of creation. Therefore, never let your mind convince you that you are low. Never let your mind tell you that you are useless. Never let your mind tell you that you are not capable. This is self-destruction. And therefore I said, sadhana for conquering the mind is very important. It is those people who are weak in the mind who destroy themselves with these kind of feelings. But Sai devotees or young men and women who develop the faith in God and the confidence within themselves that you are the master and you can achieve everything, they will never suffer from this. And for all those who suffer, you must guide them. Sadhana, personal sadhana is a very big thing. Prayer, meditation, seva. Plunge into seva. If you feel you are useless, go start serving people. Automatically you will believe how great you are. You get an experience.
सायरम सर, धन्यवाद सर। आपने बहन शिवांगी के सवालों को इतने सरल और विस्तार से हमें समझाए। मेरा यही प्रश्न है कि हम अपने जीवन में अनेकों बार कठिन परिस्थिति से गुजरना पड़ता है। हम इसी स्थिति से कैसे निकले और स्वामी तक यह बात कैसे पहुंचा सकते हैं?
अनेक कठिन परिस्थिति में जिंदगी में कठिन परिस्थितियां जरूर आएंगी, क्योंकि जीवन का मर्म जो है वो है अपने आप की शक्ति को पहचानना, अपनी दिव्यता को पहचानना। इसमें दिक्कतें आएंगी, कठिनाइयां आएंगी, पूरे पुराणिक महाकथाओं में आप देखेंगे सभी को कठिनाई आई थी। यदि आप भगवान बाबा को मानते हैं तो भगवान बाबा को भी अपने मनुष्य जीवन में असीम कठिनाइयां आई थी, मगर उनका आत्मविश्वास, उनका धैर्य, उनकी अपने आप पर जो एक शक्ति का जो आधार था कि मैं सब परिस्थितियों को निष्ठा से, सत्यता से, धर्म के आधार पर जीतने की कोशिश करूंगा, वो इंसान जीत जाता है। कठिनाइयां आना ये स्वाभाविक है, मगर कठिनाइयों में एक कटिबद्धता, एक आत्मविश्वास से घबराए बगैर आगे बढ़ना जरूरी। जैसे एक तूफानी समंदर में जब एक जहाज जाता है तो जहाज घबराता नहीं, जहाज का कप्तान नहीं घबराता कि मेरी जो जहाज है अब डूब जाएगा। वो तूफानी दरिया नहीं देखता, वो हर जो मौज आता है उसको कैसे शिप को ले जाना, वो समय समय पर एक एक डगर पे चल के उस कठिनाई से बाहर निकल जाता है। तो पूरे माहौल से उसमें घबराकर अपनी शक्ति को क्षय में लाकर कम करके, उसके अलावा न घबराते हुए उस मुसीबत को हर पल एक एक स्टेप पे कैसे पार किया जा सकता है, यदि ध्यान वहां केंद्रित हो। और इस ध्यान केंद्रित करने की प्रथा में प्रार्थना और श्रद्धा और अपने पॉजिटिव थॉट्स को, क्योंकि कठिन परिस्थितियों को कठिन बनाने वाली जो बात है वो आपका खुद का मन है। परिस्थिति कठिनाई नहीं होती, आपका मन आपको बहला देता है कि ये परिस्थिति कठिन है। यदि मन कहता है कि नहीं उबर जाएगा, निकल जाए यहां से, कोई बात, तो आप देखो आपकी शक्ति बढ़ जाती। मगर अपने मन को यदि आपने बार बार अपने आप को कहने को लगाया कि नहीं ये तो बहुत मुश्किल है, खत्म हो जाएंगे, अब तो कुछ रहा ही नहीं, ये बाहर से कोई नहीं कहता, आपका खुद का मन ही आपको बार बार ये कहता है। इसलिए बात घूम फिर कर वही आती है कि मन को मजबूत कैसे किया जाए, मन को काबू में कैसे किया जाए। जो इंसान मन को काबू कर लेता है उसको कठिनाइयां दिखती नहीं, सरल निकल जाती, सोचता भी नहीं इंसान कभी क्या होगा, निकल जाते।
Sairam. Thank you, sir. Now, I will move on to the next question. Even if we have the ability to judge what is right and wrong, we continue to make mistakes in our day-to-day life. How do we put our thoughts into action in such situations and keep our mind in control and stay focused while performing daily activities like studies?
The first part of your question, how do you judge right and wrong? You see, first of all, never judge right or wrong in another person. You should be more focused on judging right and wrong as far as your own actions are concerned. Never judge another person, because every human being is a unique human being. Apart from normal social norms, the way a human being behaves is completely unique to him. Therefore, to judge somebody that this man is good and this man is bad, I think is a fundamental mistake that each one of us makes. On the contrary, we should be more focused upon seeing and assessing what is wrong with me and what is right with me. If you do this, then what happens is that you do exactly what you need to do. Okay? If I, as a lawyer, have to put a particular argument before the court, even if the judge is misbehaving, the other side is misbehaving, I will do my duty. I will put the right thing at the right time. I will speak the right thing at the right time. And whatever I speak will be integrated. What I am thinking, what I am speaking, what I am feeling, what my conscience tells me, I will do it. And once you follow your conscience and put your conscience into action, then what happens is that your action will be certified by the divine being. And the consequence of that on what happens on whom is really not your concern. But if you start meandering or strategizing your action based upon your decision about what the other guy is right or wrong, if I am going to do something to improve that guy because I believe he's wrong, then I'm wasting my time. You see, the theory of spirituality is that silence is the most powerful thing. The aura of practice is the most powerful aura. And many a times, one person who's saying why all the time suddenly comes in front of another person and says, yes. Because without any explanation, the aura of that person is such that the aura overpowers the negative or the mundane experience of that person. For example, take Sathya Sai Baba. I may have done so many wrong things and right things which God knows. Imagine, Swami knows. Swami knows I was given some gali to somebody. Swami knows that I may misbehave with my father. Swami knows that when I come in front of 10 people, I'm always showing off. I want to prove that I'm better than anybody else. This is my normal behavior. But when I go to Puttaparthi, that Swami who knows me completely, see how he behaves with me. As he walks, a lovely smile, his divine aura engulfs me in such a way that all that my mind tells me to do, which I was doing till now, vanishes. There's no thought in my mind. So what happens in the aura of Swami? My mind is empty, and the moment the mind is empty, the divinity within, which is Swami, it really manifests. And all my questions get. My first interaction with Swami, I was a young man in St. Xavier's College in Mumbai. I had all the normal fun habits of any young man who's not spiritual oriented. Were all there. Imagine for me to give up my friends, for me to give up my parties, to give up to all the habits that I had, was unbelievable. I could have never given it up. But here is Swami who comes, who knows everything about me. He knew my friends, he knew my bad habits, he knew everything, he told me. But his presence was so divine that which a normal human being cannot give up, I could give it up in a split second. Why? Because I was in the aura of a personality who was a practitioner of spirituality, practitioner of good, a character person whose thought, word and deed was always one. This aura can change. And therefore, the Swami always urges us, don't worry about others. Focus on yourself. You increase your presence. Feel my presence. Know that I am with you. I am doing everything. Once that relationship is built, and that's what I say, kya mujhse dosti karoge? Make God the only friend. God is the only friend. These are factors which will help you to deal with this situation in life when you will stop judging other people right or wrong. You will not worry. You'll focus on you. And when you're focused on yourself and ameliorated, that so-called good or bad person also will fall in line. There is no question. I'll give you an example of my own mother. I was born in a chawl, in a very slum area. And we had a very small apartment where 6-7 people used to stay. And my mother was a very divine person. And there was one client of my father's who was a builder, but he was a very cunning, fox type, very crooked person. And he was my father's client. And one day when he came to the chawl, it's all messy, it's filth, it's sludge. He fell down and slipped. So he told my mother, "Beta, when will you change your house? Get out from this slum." So then my mother told him, "Look, sir, I have no money. I can never even think of leaving this place and buying some other place. And therefore, you have so much property. Why don't you give me one?" You see, my mother is a great spiritualist, and this guy is a crook. But in the presence of my mother, he opened his mouth and said, "Don't worry, beta. One day I will give you the house." Now see, 2 years passed by. And this word spread. My father was told this, and the best part was his own children. He had 6 of them. None of them believed his father. They knew he was such a crooked man that he will never do anything. He said, "My father, don't live in a hope. He's not going to do anything. He's not done for us. What will he do for you?" But my father said, "Never mind, I'm not interested." He said this to my wife. My wife heard it. End of the matter finished. Exactly after 2.5 years, this man comes, takes my mother with him, and my father obviously, goes to a very posh area in Mumbai where he was constructing a building. He stands down below the building and tells my mother, "Beta, point at any flat you like in this building and it's yours. And he actually did it. Despite all perceptions of good, bad, ugly that the whole world had about him, the spiritual prowess of my mother could make this man who was completely negative in the worldview. To my mind, he was absolutely divine. But his view, his perception was so negative in his own family. But the power of my mother's sadhana could make him do what he did. This convinces me, brothers and sisters, that you must create your own positive aura by unity of thought, word, and deed, by sadhana, by your confidence, by your faith in God, by your prayer. That all these mundane questions which you're asking me won't be around. They'll all be resolved. You'll only see positive. You'll never see negative. That's the right we have. That's the blessing that Bhagavan Shri Satsang has given us, that we can take a decision to have this kind of an attitude or a way forward.
समस्त लोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्त लोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्त लोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु शांति शांति शांति। जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की जय।